Welcome back. We've been talking about content platforms, etc. But let's talk about content creators. And I have with me Nikkhil Advani. I mean, who doesn't know Nikkhil Advani? Nikhil, you've been around for what, 25 years now? Over 25 years. You've seen it all. You know, the first wave of multiplex cinema. You've seen single screens, and now the OTT platforms constantly churning content out. What, according to you, has been the biggest change in the way content is perceived as good or bad?
Audiences.
What has changed in that?
Audience perception, audience taste, opening up of the internet, social media. Our competition is not, my competition is no longer my peers, my contemporaries, my friends who are making films or content. It's the world, everything. And so audiences are constantly challenging you to make things more whether it's real, bigger, visually more appealing, scale, everything.
Yeah, so your competition is not just your peers, your competition is the attention of the audience, which is being taken away by so many distractions, etc. So as producers, then what do you do in specific to keep in times or keep in step with the times that there are? I mean, what are the tools that you deploy?
See, I don't know what other producers do, but at MA Entertainment, what we like to constantly think about is disruption. I think that has been a big mantra as far as what we have seen. Audiences where nobody would have made a film like D-Day. We made a film like D-Day.
I love that film, by the way. I have to
thank
tell
you so
that.
much. So yeah, but that same film, I went to every single studio to pitch the film to every single studio. Nobody wanted to do it. I had to sell my house in Alibag so I could make the film. I made the film, and then suddenly everybody wanted to make D-Day Part 2. Everybody wanted to make D-Day Part 2. So disruption, like what I was saying. I think that whenever in the industry per se, anybody has tried to do something which is off the beaten track, you'll be surprised it has worked. You know, people like to say Yash Chopra is king of romance and king of love stories, etc., etc. But see his earlier films, right? I mean, of course there was Daag and there was Kabhi Kabhi, but there was Diwar, there was Trishul, there was Kalapathar, there was so he's always been disrupting. He has always been disrupting. Lagan was a disruptor.
Yes. Like D-Day, you said until it became successful, no one wanted to touch it. Thereafter, everyone wanted to do similar stuff. Was that the trap that you, so to say, fell into immediately after the success of Kal Ho Na Ho, and then it took you a while to find your own before D-Day?
So I think that yes, I think that I fell into the trap of wanting to better Kal Ho Na Ho, wanting to prove to everybody that I could make films without Karan Johar, So there was an arrogance, there was a dishonesty, there was not a real how do I put it? The film was not as important as what I wanted to tell the world, right? And that actually is not how you should be making films. You should just be telling stories, and so therefore you had Salam Ishq, which was which did not need 6 love stories. It could have been done with 4 love stories. It would have been a better film. You had Chandni Chowk to China because I wanted after the flop of Salam Ishq, I wanted to basically prove that I'm still relevant.
Right.
That also, so that's not the reason why you should be making films, right? Eventually, what happened is that nobody wanted to work with me. I said, listen, it set me free somewhat, and that's the reason I made a D-Day, because that's actually what I've always wanted to do.
Do different OTT apps have ideas as to this is the content that they want to push, or if it's just good content, they will take it irrespective of the channel, the OTT that you're talking about?
Yeah, so of course they do, and I think they also look at, from a brand perspective, they look at their slate as in, okay, we've got 4 shows which are slice of life, comedies, edgy, 2 of just women, 10 crime thrillers, and really dark, edgy kind of stuff. So yeah, they look at this, and then they have their marquees, right? I think that what we at MA we pride ourselves on is that being able to stretch the rupee.
How mindful are you of the contents of the story that you're going to say and the impact that it may later have on the socio-cultural situation that we're in right now, because there is a serious boycott culture, etc.
We are very clear that this is what we are allowed to say and what we will stretch, right? And we work within those parameters. Also, we work very closely with the standards and practices S&P teams of our platforms and our studios, right? And whenever they see, the thing is that we are not here to provoke.
Exactly.
And I don't think that we want to be provocative at all. And I'll be very honest with you. At one point, we felt that as a director, I felt that my creativity is being curbed. And I was very adamant, and I said, "Ki, listen, I don't care. This is freedom. This country needs freedom of expression. I'm here. It's my right to freedom of expression, etc., etc." And then, when they sat down and explained to me that people might get offended by certain things because they don't understand the nuance with which possibly that you are approaching a character, a storyline, a layered scene, etc., etc. So I thought about it, and very interestingly, somebody told me कि समझदार के लिए इशारा काफी है.
A lot of the films that are being churned out are actually not doing the numbers. Is it because of the quality of the films, or is it because of the post-pandemic behavior where people don't want to go to theaters?
Both. It's both. Audiences change. Audiences have perception has changed. Actually, three things. Audiences perceptions have changed. They, like I said, they are watching content now. They are not only watching Hindi content.
Yeah.
The person who used to watch Hindi films has not watching Hindi content because we ran out of Hindi content during the pandemic and during lockdown. So they started watching regional cinema and they said, "Wow, okay, wow, this is connecting. This is great." Then you have the rest of the world. So content, the audience content is changing. Number one. Number two, and very importantly, Hindi cinema and the Hindi film industry stopped making good films. Right? We are also part of it. Right? We also, somewhere or the other, were not pushing the boundaries in terms of content, and now we've corrected that. And I think the Hindi film industry has corrected that. And number three, most importantly, it's very expensive to go to the theatre. Post the pandemic and post the lockdown, it has become very difficult for a family, middle class family, to basically turn around and say, "Hey, picture ke liye chalte."
Yes.
They have to think about it. They have to think about it. Okay, this is a special occasion. I am willing to spend upwards of 2,000 to 3,000 rupees to go and watch the film, which I can wait for 6 weeks, right? It will come into the theatres. Which I'm not getting guaranteed that it has going to give me value for money. So the restaurants are full, the bars are full, the shopping malls are full, the cinema halls are empty. Because there is no guarantee for value for money. The minute you can guarantee value for money, Brahmastra,
Yes.
people flock to the theatres.
What would be your, thesis on what kind of content will go in each of these places? Will it be, OTT only content for certain, a certain sensibility of content will be OTT only, a certain sensibility will be movies only, a certain sensibility will be cell phone only?
Yeah, so I think that the so-called blurred lines between cinema, OTT, middle of the road cinema, big ticket films, those blurred lines will now become more and more, how do I put it?
Sharper.
Defined.
Yes.
Very, very well defined. I think that the youth will always want to, run to the cinemas, bunk college, go and watch their favorite stars, heroes, the younger Lord Varun and Ranveer and Siddharth Malhotra, and I think that the older cinema goers, the ones who can afford to have a bouquet of streaming on their smart televisions. They don't care, right? Whether it is Amazon, they are on auto pay. It's just they don't, and they'll wait. And then there will be the big ticket guys, right, where everybody will be going for the event kind of stuff, right? So I think that those lines will get more and more defined now.
That was rather insightful. Thank you so much, Nikkhil.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.